Hello, and welcome to today's video. Today, I wanted to give my honest thoughts, not only on the Witch Queen, but on the Season of the Risen. First up, we're going to start with the bad, then we're going to head into the good, and then we're going to give my final thoughts on everything. First up, the bad. I don't want to be overly negative, so I want to get the bad things out of the way. First, I personally think most of the negatives people have felt have been core problems for a really long time at this point. I also partially feel that a lot of us have experienced hard burnout, especially those of us that didn't take any real breaks from the game during the painfully long 6-month season that was last season. Leveling fatigue is at an all-time high, which I just covered some thoughts about how we can fix that. Though I personally have no problem with champs, I do see and understand the hate for them, and I do think it is time for either some serious champion reworks or for new type of champions to the game, and maybe some cycling of types of champions in every activity. Lack of purpose behind really challenging endgame has been a problem forever in Destiny, and things like Master Battle Disciple just made this stuff worse. However, I personally do have a negative that directly came from the Witch Queen. Crafting is not healthy for this game at all. I understand the hours and hours of time it can take to get God Rolled weapons, but that is time people like myself spend playing the game. With crafting in the game, when somebody like myself or me I get the 5 patterns for a gun that we want, we are done grinding out that weapon. And say an activity like Battleground, like the Silas Battlegrounds, has 7 weapons, more than likely 5 of those will be meta choices. Once we get those patterns for each gun we want, we're no longer needing to place that activity. There are the hours of extra gameplay I would have put in this season if it wasn't for crafting, simply because I would have needed to grind for longer to get the weapons I want. The other complaints people have about crafting I don't, because I know this is just the start of how many guns are going to be in the crafting table, and I am sure by season 19 or 20 a very large arsenal of weapons will be craftable, and I'm sure all of them will be meta in some capacity. I simply think long term crafting is going to do more harm than good because of loot incentive. A huge reason to play Destiny is going to tank. This is something that drove me to play less of the game and play certain activities less, and I would love to see them do something where there is still loot incentive even with crafting, because a lot of the activities we play over the course of a season, a lot of our purpose behind playing them is because of their loot incentive, and when the loot incentive goes away, we don't really have a reason to play these activities anymore. PvP is the only real activity that has long-term replayability because it's different most of the time, because you are playing different players and your interactions aren't always the same. Though, players do tend to play somewhat similar to each other. That is all I have for the bad, but now let's hop into the good. The good. There really is a lot to talk about here, and I honestly still believe in this game for the long term. The 2 new strikes we got with the Witch Queen are excellent, top tier, and I hope the strike team keeps it up. Yes, I actually think Lightblade and Place of the Vial are very good strikes, actually. I think they were well done strikes. I think that Lightblade was a great nod to Sunless Cell with all cool. I think Birth of the Vial is really cool, is a different strike. Yes, I know neither one of them is necessarily quick strikes, but they were different in difficulty, and they were also very cool strikes. They weren't basic encounters, they weren't simple encounters, they weren't sit there, delete a boss that has 0 health. They were cool encounters with the boss, they had cool things that happened in between, and were unique strikes overall that built off of what we got in both the Glassway and with and Proving Grounds. Sorry, could not remember at all what the name of the strike was. Well, Master Valve disappointed with its lack of loot incentive. Valve the Disciple was, as a whole, a very fantastic raid. Both Wolfwalk and Caretaker are excellent boss fights that feel much more action RPG than anything we have had in the past. We got 41 weapons this season that weren't exotics, and all but like 4 of them are integral parts with meta in both PvE and PvP. If they can keep this up as we head into Season 17 and beyond, this will keep me here for a very long time. This almost piggybacks off of my loot incentive point. We had great loot this season. We had fantastic loot. Some of the best loot we've had in a really long time, especially coming off of Season of the Lost, where our loot in Season of the Lost, if it wasn't for Grasp of Avarice, our loot incentive in Season of the Lost would have been horrible. The Season of the Lost weapons, outside of maybe the bow, were horrible, awful. I would really love to see better loot like this season after season. I think Origin traits helped a bunch. That was part of the reason why the PsyOps Battlegrounds weapons were so good. Their Origin trait is insane. The Land Tank Origin trait is nuts in PvP. They all were competitive, viable archetypes. Some of them were archetypes that we hadn't seen in a really long time. For instance, a Waveframe GL. We are going to need a new Void Waveframe GL that everybody can acquire. But I do love what they've done with loot this season. Loot felt wanted. I spent a lot of time grinding out loot, and this is all to piggyback off of, though crafting, I think, hurts the long-term loot grind. I do think loot incentive this season was incredible, all things considered. We got 5 excellent exotic armor pieces this season, and 2 of which personally shocked me, those being Hoarfrost Sea and Middle Grasp. Yes, I know, we got 6 exotics. We don't talk about Blight Ranger. It doesn't exist. It is as useless comes. Yes, I understand there has been some funny bugs with it, but it's not meta. It's not going to be meta. It's not going to do anything crazy. It's shit, quite frankly. I honestly think Oathkeepers, which are one of the worst exotics in the game, are better than Blight Ranger is. Part of that is due to the fact that Arc Strider is a terrible super. And it literally has to wait till you're super, and even then, it's just not worth it, because in any activity where you're running an exotic that directly deals with only your super, you have to have a super that is going to be worth it, and that super is not. Obscura, though not our best exotic mission, was a good one that rewarded an excellent exotic weapon in Dead Messenger. Dead Messenger is an excellent exotic weapon. It's unique, it's cool, it's got a great catalyst, it's a good gun. If you've not played Vox Obscura, it's not our best. It's not our best exotic mission we've ever gotten. Like, it's, not Presage, but it's good. And the reward is definitely worth it. Parasite, though not the absolute best in the heavy weapon slot, a fun one with some niche utility inside of endgame content, and it has a ton of characters weapon. When it suddenly starts talking to you, it's hilarious. Parasite is fun to use, especially if you get like solar heavyweight strikes. It's a blast to use. It does have some really niche utility. It's not our, it's not G-Horn, it's not, Sleeper, but it's fun for what it does. It does its job, does what it's designed to do extremely well. It's by far our best burst single shot weapon in the game, and it's also like super ammo efficient considering its role as a burst weapon. To top it all off, we had a fun artifact that gave us some off builds, and it wasn't overly broken. We didn't have anything that was obnoxious. We didn't have anything that broke the game unnecessarily. It was a fun artifact that what made for some awesome builds and gave us some fun mods that made the season enjoyable. And lastly, to top it all off, Void 3.0 delivered to a level that I didn't think it was going to, and it does rival Stasis. It does its job. Void 3.0's job was to give us a class that rivaled Stasis in power, and it does that. This excites me for Solar and Arc. Oh, though Arc still scares me because their stated identity purpose for Arc still makes it to me feel like a PvP class, which is not what I want from it. I want it to be PvE viable. I don't want Arc to continue to be, oh, it's just our PvP class, which is not healthy for the game, because I want all of our classes, and I want people to go out there and be like, yeah, I'm an Arc Warlock, I'm a Stormcaller main, you know, I mean Chaos Regent, I mean these things, this is my identity, this is who I am as a person, these are the aspects and fragments that I believe in, and I really hope that going into the future, this is something that we can get in the game. To cap it all off and give a final verdict, Bungie has continued to push this game to heights it has never been. You can impress me with their drive and determination to keep it moving forward and to keep innovating. I know it's not always the way we want it to be, but goddamn Bungie does try, and most of the time they pull it off. Thank you to everyone at Bungie, and I am excited to see what Season 17 holds for us. There are still some things that need work, and there are still core issues that need to be ironed out. The game is continuing to grow to newer and higher heights. With all that being said, though, and I am excited to see where we go. If I had to put a score on everything we got this season to start off year 5, I would give it a solid 8 out of 10. Work still needs to be done. The game is looking forever positive. I'm excited for the future. Thank you all for watching this video. I will see you all on Tuesday for a brand new one. If you did enjoy, please consider leaving a like and subscribing to the channel. And thank you all, and goodbye.